welcome to Chapter 5, a chapter that I think that you're going to find much easier than the last one. We are going to talk about systems of equations, which is a fancy way of saying that we have two or more equations and we're trying to figure out two or more variables. The rule is that every time you have a variable, you have to have another equation. So, in this equation, for instance, we have the variables x and y. It is impossible to solve this without having another equation. If you have two variables, you need two equations. So I'm going to give you this as the second equation. All right, so now we want to figure out what x and y equal. We can do that because we have two variables, x and y, and we have two equations. And so this video is going to show you a great way to approach this, which is to add it together. You will notice that I have a positive 2x and a negative 2x. And see how they're like right underneath each other? I mean, it's so perfect. It's begging to be added together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add both of these equations together. 2x plus negative 2x is nothing, so that becomes a 0. 5y plus 4y becomes 9y. And negative 4 plus negative 14 becomes negative 18. Rewriting this problem, we have 9y equals negative 18. I'm just getting rid of the 0 there because that's not changing anything. I will divide both sides by 9, so I know that y equals negative 2. Now that I've determined what y is, I come back and I pick whichever one of these equations feels good to me. And so I'm going to pick the first one just because I am. But this time when I write it, I'm going to put a negative 2 in for y because that's just what I decided is that y equals negative 2. So this becomes 2x plus 5 times negative 2 equals negative 4. Let's solve. Okay, I'm going to do the multiplication first. 2x plus negative 10 equals negative 4. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 10 to each side. So now on this side of the equation I have 2x, and on this side I have negative 4 plus 10, which is a positive 6. Divide both sides by 2, and I have x equals 3. So now I have found x and y. To test, I would take an equation, any equation that you want. I'm going to pick the second one just because. That's negative 2x plus 4y equals negative 14. And I'm going to fill in these numbers, the negative 2 and the positive 3. So here I have negative 2 times x, which is 3, plus 4 times y, which is negative 2, equals negative 14. Is that the case? Well, let's see. Negative 2 times 3 is going to give us a negative 6, plus 4 times negative 2 is going to give us a negative 8. Does that equal negative 14? It sure does. So we know that we've done our math correctly. That is how you add together systems of equations.